as the name of this video suggests, this is going to be the Iron Warriors list for the Absolutis Crusade. I'm going to be running eventually. Be a long time coming, and this is kind of just a preliminary list. I have used this codex. Is it the right way up? It is. Makes change. And I've used the power rating system, so to speak, to create these lists. Like I say, very preliminary. I'm not sure whether I'll use that edition or that codex for playing the games in this Crusade campaign that I'm planning. If you're new to this, then I will be running a Bad Ab War campaign with 2 factions as a play test bed. Short campaign. I say short, probably lasts about a year. Planning on doing that for a year to test out various rules, see what works, see what doesn't work, try out new things in campaign, and then once I've got it bolted down, so to speak, I will start the Absolutis Crusade, which is basically a Storm Reapers Space Marine force with various allies, Imperial allies, Imperial Guard, and AdMech. And they are trying to retake 6 planets in the Absolutis system, 2 of which are held solely by Iron Warriors. Thousand Suns hold another one, and the other 3 are kind of up for grabs. There's other factions fighting for those planets. You know, we've got Orcs, we've got Tau, Eldar, Necrons, anyone else? I think that's the other ones. Like I say, that's for a much later date. But I've created these lists. See what you think about them as well. I'll be opening comments up. What would you include? What would you take out? How would you, within the restrictions that I've kind of set down, because these forces, these armies, like I say, that I'm using the power system. Because it's easy to add up, basically. And each army will be made up of force points between 1 and 6. Each force point will have a certain amount of units in it and certain set units. They do kind of swap and change, which I'll explain in a little bit when we get into this. But roughly, each force point is 25 power. This list does deviate from that. Well, more than a little bit. It was a bit of a nightmare to add together. But it all rounds out at 150 power at the end of a 6 force point list, and then I'll go into like special units that you can add to certain armies. So we'll start it off. Force point 1 are 2 20-man cultist mobs. So 20 of them will have the auto guns, I think they're called, and 20 will have the auto pistol with a close combat weapon. I have 10 of each of those from the Dark Vengeance box set. I should have said that just before. That I've still got the Chaos side of the Dark. I'm sure it's Dark Vengeance, the one where it was Red Corsairs and Dark Angels. I don't know where the Dark Angels have gone. I think I got rid of them straight away because I'm not a fan of Dark Angels. So yeah. But I've still got the Chaos stuff. It's all painted up as Red Corsairs, or in the case of the cultists, I changed them slightly to Thousand Suns. So I'll be able to use those in the Thousand Suns list, although I'm not sure if I've taken cultists for that list. We'll get into that at a later date, I suppose. So yeah, I've got 10 of each of those. I need 10 more, obviously, for those units. Also in force point 1, so sorry, they were 5 power points each. At 12 power points is a Legionnaire squad, which you might have seen. I've painted up 5 of them as Black Legion. Not happy with the colour scheme, so that's why I've gone for Iron Warriors. I hope, well, I used to have some Iron Warriors miniatures and they were nice to paint up, so yeah, Iron Warriors I've gone for. It was Black Legion. Might change, who knows. So a full Legionnaire squad, 12 power. With a Rhino is 4 power. So the astute among you will notice that's 26 power. So like I said before, they are roughly 25 power each. But I do make up for it. So, you know, in the next force point, for example, is another Legionnaire squad with a Rhino. And then I've gone attached to them either a chosen squad. I have 5 chosen models from that Dark Vengeance set, or 5 possessed, a 5-man possessed squad. Either of those are 7 power. Swapping and changing means that certain forces on the table, which you'll see at a later date again, will be made up slightly different. I've done this for all of them. I think all of the forces I've made. Storm Reapers, for example, Terminators or Assault Terminators are the same power, so I'll get a squad of each, or I've got a squad of the regular. I need an Assault squad now. Likewise, I think a Vindicator and a Whirlwind are 7 power each, and each force will have 1 of those. So yeah, so that is Force Point 2 for the Iron Warriors. I'll have to scroll down here. My laptop's here. Weird noises of the dogs chomping on bones over here. Codex is just there. Miniatures are over there, but I can't be able to get them. So sorry. So yeah, Force Point 1 and Force Point 2 in total comes to 49 power, which gives us a power point spare somewhere else to add something else. So Force Point 3, I'll just scroll down so far I can't see it now. Force Point 3 starts off with a Hellbrute. Now you get a Hellbrute in the Dark Vengeance set, that's where I've got mine. 6 power. I've also gone for a Venom Crawler. I love that model, I think it looks amazing. 6 power, I need to buy one, obviously. Painted up as Thousand Suns, I think it look alright. Now we've also got a Dark Apostle, which will be one of the command characters from that Dark Vengeance set. I'll paint up as an Iron Warriors Dark Apostle. That's the most basic HQ you can get in the book, I do believe. I'm pretty sure. And he's 5 power. I've also gone for either a Havoc squad or a Warp Talon squad. Warp Talons, rather than Raptor squad, Warp Talons are the more fancy, more elite. They've all got lightning claws. And the main reason I've gone for them is because I have a squad of them painted up already. So yeah, I could maybe go Raptors. How much are Raptors? Shall we look? If Raptors are 6, then I could go Raptors and a Chaos Spawn, because a Chaos Spawn is brilliant because it's only 1 power. So you can like throw them in there when you need points making up, like I have. I very much have. But we'll have a quick look for Raptors in here. Yeah, Raptor. I thought it would be Raptors are 6 power. So possibly, I may add that in. I'm not too sure. But so Havocs are 7 power, or Warp Talons are 7 power. The sun's just come out and I can't see the screen now, so this is going to be fun, right? And again, that's army variation across the board, so to speak, literally across the board actually. And then to top that off, to make it up to 25 power for Force Point 3 is a Chaos Spawn. If I go for Raptors, I may go for 2 Chaos Spawn there, if that makes sense. If it doesn't, then turn off now, because that was quite simple. And then that is a total of 74 power, so we've still got that spare power point kicking about. Force Point 4, it's a little bit more HQ heavy. We've got a Chaos Lord, again a model from the Dark Vengeance set. In fact, for all of Force Point 4, I have all the models. I have them all built, but they're all painted with something else. Chaos Lord, Warp Smith, and an Exalted Champion. The Exalted Champion, again, I could swap that for a Master of Executions and another Chaos Spawn. I'm not too sure. If I go down all the Chaos Spawn routes, then I've got a lot of Chaos Spawn to get, put it that way, because there's a few more. So Chaos Lord, Warp Smith, and Exalted Champion are 5 power each. That leaves me with 10, kind of. Leaves me with 10. And I've gone for a Chaos Terminator squad, a 9, and another Chaos Spawn. So likewise, I could go Master of Executions and 2 Chaos Spawn in that force. And that is potentially 4 Chaos Spawn already, which I'm not too sure I want to do that, but there we go. The Chaos Terminator squad are my oldest Chaos models. I've had them many years, can't remember how long, to tell the truth. but they're painted up in Thousand Suns scheme, and they were painted up, like I say, for maybe 3rd or 4th edition. And the Scarab Occult Terminators and Thousand Suns codexes, standalone codexes, weren't a thing back then, hence why they're painted in nice blue and gold. And they are painted quite nice, quite like the paint job, but I'll have to paint over them for this Iron Warriors force, so it happens, I suppose. So yeah, all of that is 25 power, regardless of if I go down the Master of Executions or Exalted Champion and 1 or 2 Chaos Spawns. That's 25 power. That's 99 power. We've still got that spare power point. Power point? It sounds wrong, doesn't it? So we'll go on to Force Point 5. Yeah, again, I've scrolled down all that stuff. Force Point 5 starts off with a Chaos Lord in Terminator armor. Like the Terminators, I bought a Chaos Sorcerer in Terminator armor long ago, and I just, for some reason, didn't give him the Force stuff. I gave him a Power Maul, so I'll repaint him and use him as a Chaos Lord in Terminator armor, and obviously he'll join that Terminator squad. I've also gone for a Forge Fiend and a Mauler Fiend. Love those models again, cracking Chaos models. And then that leaves me with 3 power for 25, but I'm going to use up that extra one as well to get another Rhino for the aforesaid characters to run around in the Exalted Champion and whatever. So they are now mobile, along with all the Legionnaires. And that is 26 power, and that brings us up to 125 power, which is spot on for Force Point 5. Force Point 6, again, is an either or, and there's a bit of maths to work out. So we've gone for a Demon Prince of 8 power or a Helldrake, 9 power. I used to have 2 Helldrakes, sold them both. One was painted up very nicely, again for 1000 Suns. Yeah, but I like the model, so I'll get another one. Likewise, Chaos Land Raider, I had one. I actually had one painted up. It was painted up. I didn't add any Chaos symbols or anything. It was just painted black with gold trim. And I used that in my 1000 Suns list. But then I repainted it for an Imperial Fists army, and then obviously sold it, got rid of it. Stolen, I class that army as stolen from me, really. I may go into that with my therapist in my So yeah, so Chaos Land Raider 14, Demon Prince 8 or Helldrake 9. You know where we're going with this, don't we? We're using those Chaos Spawn again. So it's either 2 or 3 Chaos Spawn to make up for 25 power. Depending whether we take the Demon Prince, it's going to be 3 Chaos Spawn. If it's going to be the Helldrake, it's going to be 2. But in total, that's either, I think, 5 or 6 or 4 or 5 Chaos Spawn in total that I'm going to need. But yeah, I like the models. You can buy them cheap, very cheap on eBay, so it shouldn't be a problem. And yeah, that 25 power brings us up to 150 power total for Force Point 6. Nice rounded off. Like I say, I've got a lot of miniatures for this army already, just need repainting. Added to this, to a Force Point 6 force, you will be able to accrue support points. I've mentioned this in other videos. If this is your first one, then, you know, in the campaign, you'll get support points where you can reinforce the armies you have already on the field. Or you can add them up, you know, accrue them so you can field a special miniature or unit, which you will add to a large army. The sun's back out again, sorry. So, for example, the 1000 Suns, only the 1000 Suns army on Absolutis Prime, not the ones on, oh, I forgot the name of it already. The first planet, basically. I'm under the command of Warlord Christos Grull. Weird name I've made up. I will use the rules for Huron Blackheart for that miniature. I probably won't buy a Huron Blackheart miniature and paint them up as 1000 Suns. I'll buy a Chaos Lord and add a few bits here and there or whatever to make them look special. But you'll only have one of those miniatures in your entire army for the campaign. If he dies, he dies. So I've done many a Victor Drago impression saying that. So yeah, you'll only ever have one of those. What else we got for the special? So you can also add a crew point to make or to buy a Chaos Knight or 2 Chaos Armiger Knights. You can have multiple of those across the board, but because you don't get that many support points and it'll take a long time to save up for one, then you won't have, every army won't have a Chaos Knight attached to it or whatever. Or likewise, a Lord of Skulls, which I've included in this. I know they are aligned to Chaos, but when this was going to be a Black Legion army, they were going to have Chaos allies as one of the force points. We're going to have an entry for, 1,000 Sun Squad or whatever, but I've changed that to special support points now, which includes a Lord of Skulls, obviously. So it's, yeah, I would presume the Iron Warriors, being Iron Warriors, would have a Lord of Skulls equivalent. So, but I love the model. I know it gets a bit of hate here and there, but yeah, I love that Lord of Skulls model. So I'll definitely get one of those. I'm not sure, did Games Workshop do them, or is it Forge World, or does anybody do them now? If not, then well, if Games Workshop do, then I may, when I'm down London for my birthday, I'm going to get something special for my birthday, and it's going to be, an Imperial Knight, a Chaos Knight, or a Baneblade I was going for, but it may be a Lord of Skulls, yeah, we'll see. So what else have we got? We've got, as a support point, a single squad of either Thousand Suns, Death Guard, Khorne Berserkers, or Noise Marines, Emperor's Children Noise Marines. I may up that to like a junior leader with them, or maybe it's like a sorcerer and a squad of Thousand Suns, or something like that, just to make it more punchy than just a squad as a support point. But then again, I could make that support point like, 5 support points, and you'd be able to have, every army would probably be able to have one of those. But then that would mean that those armies couldn't have a knight or whatever. So I don't know. That'll be in the plan stage, obviously, at a much later date. This, like I say, is just initial ideas. Likewise, Chaos Demons. I was going to have Chaos Demons as a faction, like a full faction, full army list. But I've gone for them just as allies to the Thousand Suns, obviously, and to the Iron Warriors. Within the Thousand Suns, they will only have Zinch demons, so, is it Lord of Change, and won't have Magnus the Red. It'd be too, he's a bit too special for this. Yeah, that's my thoughts on that. I've written down 500 points, but I may change that to like 20 power as an allied choice, so to speak, or 25 power. I'll have to get the Chaos Demons Codex. I haven't got that yet, and we'll see how much a Bloodthirster costs in power. Yeah. And then the very last one is a building, and that's a Noctilith Crown, which the rules are for in the Codex. And again, if this is your first time buildings, you can build a building in a place that you control. If you lose that sector, even if the building isn't destroyed, it gets destroyed by the enemy. There will be exceptions to that. Things like an Imperial bunker, for example, could be used by anyone really. Likewise, the Imperial bastions that you used to be able to get. They came out when they had the Planetfall list. I'm not too sure about an Aegis defense line. The Imperial Guard have access to them, so I'm not too sure if one of those gets built, then it's there all the time, because likewise anyone could really use that. It makes no sense to destroy something like that, whereas a Noctilith Crown or a Hammerfall bunker, for example, for the Storm Reapers, yeah, you'd probably destroy that, wouldn't you? So yeah, that's the army list in total. Sorry about weird noises from the dogs. Not only are they chewing the bones, they've just been told off as well. One of them pooed in the kitchen. I know which one it was because it was a small poo. And I've got a medium dog that makes medium poos, and a small dog that makes small poos. Thinks he's a big dog, but yeah, he just got shouted at, little bugger. So yeah, sorry about the lighting conditions. Like I said, it's during the day. I do have the room light and a painting light that I've got, but then the sun keeps coming out now and again. Should really knock it for where I live because it's a rare event. If you've enjoyed the video, if you want to see the army lists for other factions, we'll go through all of the factions, shall we? Storm Reapers I've already done at the previous video. Iron Warriors, Thousand Suns. The other Imperials are Admech, Cadian Infantry, an Imperial Guard Cavalry army as well. So basically all of the squads are in chimeras, and there is a full force point. I would say, well, there's a force point with 20 Rough Riders in it. So yeah, that's quite big. And lots of Lehman Russ battle tanks, and yeah, everything's mechanized in the Imperial Guard Cavalry force. I want to do a Praetorian one as well. I haven't written an army list for it. It will just be infantry heavy, obviously. But whether I go down that route or a different Imperial Guard force, slightly different to the Cadian one, because obviously the Cadian list, I've got things like Cadian Castellans, and I'm going to include in this, I know I didn't include Magnus the Red and, you know, anyone special from a different, for the Storm Reapers, other than the Chapter Master. Oh, and I haven't in the Imperial Guard, actually. Why didn't, oh, is that, no, it's the cavalry one I'm looking at. So for the Cadian one, I have included Ursula Creed as a special, and Iron Hand Strachan and Sly Marbo for an Imperial Guard as special support points. I just thought, why not? It's going to be, probably going to be the weakest faction of the lot, isn't it, really? Although the points system should be fairly equal. So yeah, Admech and a couple of different Imperial Guard type regiments will be allied to the Storm Ravens. For the Chaos, I've gone over the Thousand Suns and Iron Warriors. The Xenos, there'll be Iandan and Tower fighting over a planet. And Iandan Eldar, that is, obviously, and Iandan Eldar and Necrons are fighting over a planet. Likewise, the Orcs and will be fighting the Imperials. Now, the Imperials will have, like I said, the noses in all of these planets, all the business, basically. So the one of the planets, the Orc planet, is basically just under the surface is a lot of Promethium. That's what I've done in the background, the lore, so to speak. So the Admech want that, so they'll be fighting the Orcs on that planet. Likewise, the planet with the Necrons on, Imperial Guard and Admech will be fighting there. The Storm Reapers will be everywhere. I will also do a list. I haven't done a list, actually. I really should have done a list, but I haven't. For Red Scorpions. Of course I have done. I've done a list for the Badab War for Red Scorpions. So I can use that list. Yeah. So I can use that list to include some Red Scorpions. In this Absolutis Crusade campaign, which will be a long time in coming, it'll take me a long time to collect everything that I need. Obviously, I can have little one-off games here and there when I get up to, say, a Force Point 2 or Force Point 3, when I've got all of the miniatures painted and everything for those. I'll play a few games, just so I can get used to the rules, so I'm not running straight into the campaign and not knowing what the hell's going on. I have no idea which edition 40k will be around when this kicks off. It may be 12th edition. 11th comes out later this year. And yeah, this may be 12th edition that I do this for. I hope it's not 13th edition. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see, won't we? The Badab War, I'm hoping to get that built, ran, play tested in a year. So by next January, or maybe even next May, hopefully we'll have everything set for that. So yeah, like I say, if you want to keep up to date what's going on, I'll show you miniatures I painted and what have you. Whether these army lists change, future army lists, I'll be making a video on each of these army lists, talking the same rubbish and listening to the dogs jumping on bones as ever. So please just subscribe if you want to tag along. Thank you for your time as ever.